So I was just browsing around on YouTube, and I thought, why not look for another video that is just off the radar, that no one's really seen, no one's really covered, because I think that's the strong suit of my channel. And so I found this video dealing with this Kickstarter campaign, which is now successful. It's just reached the threshold where it's going to happen. And what is it dealing with? Race and representation in video games. So immediately, if you're like me, this is just one more sign of ideologues, of academics with no credibility, no substance to what they're speaking on, coming into gaming, saying not just to the industry, but to me as a gamer, saying that I have a problem. I'm guilty of something. Although they probably wouldn't say that I am. They probably say that I'm totally off base in what I'm saying here. But let's just go through this together.
Gaming is a massive multi-billion-dollar industry with global influence. Evidence indicates that the video game industry is more influential than books, movies, and television combined.
I honestly question whether profitability is the same thing as influence. I don't really know, just because copies are going off of store shelves that translates to direct mind-fucking of the consumer. It's one of the things that when I've read Marxist theory, I've always kind of questioned. It always just assumes that a person is just a piece of clay. They don't really have any kind of identity. They don't really have any kind of shape or form or knowledge of who they are. They're just some sort of entity waiting to get mind-fucked by products that they buy, among everything else in society. And I don't think that the basis for that is totally meaningless, such as religion. I would say that religion has a heavy influence on a person, especially if they take it seriously. However, when you're saying that video games are somehow affecting people, well, that requires someone to have a sort of lack of distinguishing between reality and fiction, which you'd have to prove that through all the other mediums that exist, wouldn't you? With books, with movies. Why do you have to target video games? But hey, that's just me being skeptical. Let's just continue.
But despite that long reach, parts of both the gaming industry and culture are still severely limited. I'm Dr. Samantha Blackman.
And I'm Alicia Carabinas. And we want to open up a conversation about race in video games.
That's pretty amusing. It's kind of like, the conversation Anita had with gaming in terms of women as being represented in gaming. So let's see, was there a problem with women in gaming? Oh, of course there is. Otherwise, why would she be around? Sort of like with your campaign. If there isn't a problem with race in video games, what would even be the point of the campaign? What would even be the point of the research if that wasn't the foregone fucking conclusion?
For years, the gaming industry has centered on and around white male heroes. Non-white characters are often limited, completely non-existent, or the flimsy manifestations of tropes. As the audience for games grows and becomes ever more diverse, we find ourselves with more of a need for games and game narratives that are as rich and varied as the people who play them.
As part of Not Your Mama's Gamer, we have worked for years alongside a volunteer staff to broaden the spotlight on race and representation in video games.
So this is already entering a territory where many, many assumptions are being made. Because already we're writing off every foreign-made game. We're already writing off any game that happens to be European or Eastern European that has a character that is fucking Caucasian, Polish. A good example would be The Witcher. Does that not count as a foreign-made game, as a foreign character, as a foreign lore? Or do you just see this as him being a white man? I don't understand how you can make these distinctions based solely on race when nationality comes so much into play for so many of these games. Just assuming that, you're doing so on the basis that this only applies to a certain body of people. How does representation exist in terms of our games that go to Japan? How does representation of games that exist in Japan when their games are almost totally represented by Japanese men and women? Am I supposed to have some sort of identity crisis? It's supposed to trigger me that I'm playing a game with a Japanese character? I don't think so. You are making assumptions that disregard every fucking other nation other than the United States. And that's why I and so many others criticize so-called academics in gaming. You only see American-made games, and you discount foreign-made games. You discount not just foreign-made games based on the basis you have never fucking heard of them, but also companies like CD Projekt Red, just because their protagonist is Polish, is white, has fucking light skin. How much do he and I have in common? How much does a Polish person and I have in common? I have no fucking clue, and you don't either. This is immediately off-putting to me because of how racist that position is. And I don't mean to, I'm not throwing around that term lightly here. I'm just saying, when you see two people of two different nationalities from halfway across the world, and you say, I bet you two have so much in common based on nothing more than your race. And you might be thinking this is no big deal, that you're just speaking to gaming and fucking characters, and who really gives a shit? This is just something to make some fucking academic bona fides on. Not to me. I care about this. I care about being told that I have something wrong with my perspective. We all know that's where it's going to go. We all know you're going to tell me that I have something wrong with my perspective.
Now we would like to ask for your help to make that spotlight a little brighter. We will produce a series of videos, but we can't do this alone. With your help, we will build on our past work to create high-quality critical analyses on the ongoing issues surrounding racial representation in video games.
So let's break down each one of these videos one by one, or at least their subject matter, obviously, because the videos are not out. Character generation engines and representation, which otherwise translates to character customization, which, as I've said many times in the past, does not sell copies. That's the problem here. Even within role-playing games, this is not selling copies. There are gamers such as myself that expect it, that want it to be a standard, that do like it and appreciate that we can customize characters, because I'm a creative person. However, as the numbers bear out, there are far more gamers that don't give a shit, that will play the default person even when they're offered a choice of designing a character. They won't do it. This is the issue. So already you're faced with the fact that this is not demanded by the mainstream of gamers. The people that are buying these fucking games. Point 2, reactions to games criticism on representation. See, that's the issue here. That is the central thing that I think this thing is really going to be about, is getting videos such as my own and playing them on a loop at a conference to say what a misogynist I am, what a racist I am, what a piece of shit that I am. Because what are you going to really do? What the fuck impact could you possibly have on gaming with this teeny weeny little Kickstarter, with your teeny weeny little channel, with your unknown fucking video that I fucking discovered? But that's the point. You don't have any expectations to change gaming. You don't have any expectations to change what the industry's doing. Your basis for this is to get a reaction. I sincerely doubt your efforts in doing anything other than helping yourselves. Point 3, women of color and intersectionality. So I'm just going to state the claim that intersectionality, despite the fact that it may exist as a subject matter, as an academic, philosophical abstract throughout every university in the world, it's bullshit. It is fucking bullshit. Because it can't actually prove anything empirically. It can't actually do anything based on the scientific method. If it can, it's going to be a qualitative study, and it's going to be based on the fact that you already have the answer, it's just getting to that conclusion. You already know what you want to say and what the end point is, but it's how can we fuck with the math? How can we fuck with the data sets in order to get to that end? On women of color, which is a term I dislike, because what's the basis? There's differing skin pigmentation. Guess what? How many games exist throughout the medium? Not just Western games, but all throughout the world, where you can change your character in every conceivable way. You could be the most creative fucking person in the world. You can come up with a character in so many of these games. But why do you pinpoint games that have designated fucking characters, that have pre-written protagonists? Those are the games that you pinpoint. And it's only the ones that you don't like. You mentioned Life is Strange, I saw very briefly on there, which has 2 female protagonists. Is that a problematic game to you? Does that lack fucking diversity for you? I'm sure it does. I'm sure it's like fucking everything. It's never fucking good enough. You can't actually create anything because you're a fucking academic. The two of you. You couldn't create shit other than some bullshit fucking project to prove what you already believe. Point 4. Indigenous populations in North America. So this is already extremely frustrating as a topic. Because why the fuck are you limiting this to North America when gaming is a global fucking industry? It seems to me you're doing this to suit your narrative. Moreover, you guys made the mistake of listing an actual good game for this specific subject, which was Infamous Second Son with Deslan Rowe, who happens to be Native American. But that's not the reason I purchased the game. It happens to be the first Infamous game in the franchise that I've enjoyed. And I enjoy the protagonist. Not everyone did, and not everyone enjoyed the game either. But I enjoy Deslan. I enjoy his style. I enjoy his attitude. I enjoy his story. I enjoy the setting. He complements the setting, in my opinion. There are many things about Infamous Second Son that I enjoy. And one of the things that I enjoy about it is him being voiced by Troy Baker, who did an excellent job, in my opinion. He's a good voice actor, and I think he complemented this character. However, what's the one thing that I wasn't concerned with while playing this game, while enjoying this character? Leaping throughout this fucking setting and taking on the authority, basically, the big evil, the government. You couldn't find a more fucking anti-authoritarian goddamn story. And you can still be the bad guy. What is the thing that you guys are talking about in relation to this? The last thing on my fucking mind while playing it. This protagonist's fucking race. His ethnicity as a Native American. That was the last fucking thing that I was concerned with while playing this fucking game. But for whatever reason, it's a concern for you. It's a concern for you that should be the thing that properly identifies this character. Not the fact that he has superpowers, not the fact that he's a protagonist, not the fact that whether he's a hero or a villain. It's his race. That should be the thing that I look at when I see this character. And I don't. I don't see that about this character. I don't concern myself with the fact that this guy's race as a fictional character happens to be different from my own. It could be the setting, it could be all sorts of elements regarding that game, but the last fucking thing that should be on your mind while playing or analyzing this fucking game should be this guy's race. That isn't right. That is not a fucking basis in which to criticize or analyze this fucking game or the franchise, for that matter. Based on race. That is a wrong-headed approach to looking at gaming. But that is the whole crux of this fucking project. Point 5, race and fantasy games. This is the most unbelievable one to even be put on the list, considering there are fictional races, such as fucking playing Skyrim. You can play fucking cat people among all the other races. What does that tell you about reality? Fucking nothing. And if you think anything more than that, you think that actually says anything in the way of reality, there is something wrong in your mind. It's already a foregone conclusion. Gamers don't concern themselves with customization to the degree that you maybe would, or I would. We're a fringe group. Those of us that concern ourselves with customization, we are a fucking fringe group. But that's not going to be your conclusion, is it? It's going to be, oh, while playing Skyrim, most people play Nords because they're racists, because they're white supremacists. That's going to be your conclusion. Maybe you're saying I'm putting words in your mouth. But let's just see. Let's just see where it winds up. Ultimately, my issue with this is the fact that it is going to be a one-sided conversation, as it were. You guys are going to tell us, the consumer, what is wrong with us. And it's so obvious where this is going to go. What you're going to fucking say, where you're eventually going to lead to. That the issue is that I just need to change my worldview to say that for whatever reason, white people have an issue. We have a problem. We have some sort of sin that we need to all atone for. And you guys are stuck in the remedy.